All right, welcome everybody to Pittman and Friends podcast, and I'm here today with a friend whose name is Skip Auld, and he is the CEO of the Anne Arundel County Public Libraries, the whole system. Welcome.
Thanks, Stuart. It's so great to be here. I appreciate you inviting me to be on this podcast. This is great.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking forward to this because people think of libraries the way I thought of them as a kid. Books, 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 books.
Yeah, we still have books.
You still have books?
Yeah, we still have them. Yeah, lots of them. Yeah.
Good. They're more expensive now than they were, but we'll get into the budgeting too. But anyway, it's more than that, right?
Oh, yeah.
Give us a sense of what the library system does and is.
So I actually started in libraries 50 years ago this month or next. I can't quite remember which. But so I have seen a huge change in libraries. It was pretty much books, although in those days we had LP records. We now have now our books are e-books and e-audiobooks as well as print books. So we have all of that. But we have created a library of things, too. So, for example, you can check out fishing poles. You can check out museum passes. And we've been working with other...
I saw the fishing poles down in Deal. That was pretty awesome.
Yeah. Actually, I have a story from a customer who was trying to get a fishing pole and went on to the Buy Nothing site and said, I'm trying to get a fishing pole. Anybody got one? And they recommended the library. So they went and got a fishing pole from the library. But
wow.
A lot of the use of our libraries is in, basically just people coming in for a place to be, to see other people, to meet friends, to book study rooms or to book meeting rooms, to have meetings. Programming has become a huge part of what libraries are. So we have kindergarten readiness programming that happens both in the library and outside the library. We go out into the community as well. Just many, many things. The Annapolis Library has a maker space and sewing machines are there, and among other things. So,
sewing
a lot
machines.
of things.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah,
wow.
Actually, this one person was trying to finish up a sewing project that her mother started and got it partway along, but this person didn't know how to sew, and her mom died about 12 years ago. And then she heard that we had these sewing machines and we have training and classes, and she came in and was able to complete that project. So all kinds of things happen. There's millions of uses of the library every year, but every kind of use, we measure it in statistics, but every use has a special story kind of like that. It's incredible.
Wow. Yeah, and I always have described them as, when I came in, I remember they had done a study in Anne Arundel County before me about whether we should have community centers, and they decided not to. We have actually violated that study and created some rec centers, Severance Center, and things like that. But what I always said was that our libraries are community centers.
Yes, absolutely. It is a community gathering place. There are so many things that people do in our libraries. It's kind of like senior centers in a way, or the places people go through recreation and parks. So there's a lot of great services that are provided across the board in the county. We have great partnerships with a lot of these county agencies, which is great. But as community centers, we are a center of community, and that's partly why it's been so good to partner with organizations like the Health Department and Social Services, because we are our 16 libraries are very well located in the community. Kind of everybody in the county knows where the library is, and at least half of the people in the county have library cards and use the library regularly. So,
how many branches in the county?
We have 16 branch libraries, and then we have outreach vehicles. Thanks to your support over the past 6 years, we've got. It's like 4 different vehicles that go out into the community. They go to senior centers. They go to the Severance Center. They go to child care, licensed child care homes, child care, all kinds of places that we go. We go to the schools, the pre-K programs. So
library on wheels.
Yeah. So 16 libraries plus.
Yeah, I just can't overstate how much I have felt like libraries were there for us when we need them. And so COVID is one example. I mean, remember, masks, test kits.
Oh, yeah. Well,
you all stepped up and put out thousands and thousands.
Yeah, we had a tremendous partnership with the Health Department. At the time, it was Health Officer Nilesh Kalyana-Raman, and now it's Dr. Tony Gedden, and we've continued this. We actually have vending machines now where we have Narcan, and we have a variety of kinds of machines in a couple of our libraries. But during COVID,
we wanted to get a bunch of gun locks out too. Those simple little locks that you can put on a gun that make it so that you can't pull the trigger.
Yes.
And lots and lots of people went to their libriaries and picked those up.
I believe last I heard it was around 6,000, which is great, and we still are handing those out. The gun locks, that was part of an initiative you put together on trying to, first of all, treat the gun violence issue as a public health issue.
Right.
And part of that, as the team got together and was brainstorming, they thought, well, let's get these gun locks out. That'll at least help, because something like half of the deaths from guns are from suicide, and so getting the locks on there it just helps. It puts a barrier there for people. So so there's that.
So because you have all these branches in the communities and people know where they are, government turns to you, and you all have been incredibly creative as well. I know workforce development people, they have staff that come into libraries and people meet them there, right?
Yeah, for sure. And recently I just met one of our interns that we got through workforce development who's working at our headquarters operation, and she's great. Job searching is, of course, a constant thing for many adults, most adults, maybe not constant for everybody, but it's we are constantly helping people out with exploring how to put together their resumes, exploring different opportunities. So we have all kinds of training for people that way.
Let's talk about that. We talked about the stuff in libraries, but let's talk about the people in libraries, because I know that they are a huge part of what makes it work. People go there and they go straight to the desk and they ask for help with something, to find something. But let's start with you. How did you get into this?
Yes. So it was 50 years ago. I think I mentioned that. I had gone to college. I had a liberal arts background, majored in psychology, but I spent a year in the Peace Corps in Iran right out of college, came back. Really wasn't sure at all what I wanted to do. I had used libraries, but I didn't have any dreams of working in libraries. But a friend of mine, I was living in Raleigh, North Carolina, and a friend told me that she was working at the Duke University Library. So I applied actually ended up applying 3 times because I didn't get the first couple of jobs. The third time I got a job as a clerk typist at Duke University Library. And I spent a couple of years there. I was in 3 different jobs while I was at Duke. And the third job for a whole year was really tedious. And in those days, you don't know the tedium of it. And I thought, okay, I'm going to just apply to library school, get a master's in library science, or at least go for a semester just to escape, because that was kind of how I was approaching it. And got to UNC Library School, loved it, went through the program, got a job as a reference librarian at the Charlotte Public Library, got into branch management, was in branches in Charlotte and then up in Westminster, Maryland, where I was not making enough money to feed the family, really, at that time. I had taken a pay cut.
Even as a branch manager?
Oh, even as a branch manager. Well, I had taken a pay cut. I'd been 11 years in Charlotte, took a pay cut to come up to Maryland, where the cost of living was significantly higher. And so I started looking for administrative jobs, and I got a job as an assistant director down in the Richmond area. And then became a library director in Durham again for 4 years before I came here almost 15 years ago. This has been a great place to be. We have a board of trustees that is fantastic. There are 18 people, including a student member, a high school student member of our board with full voting rights, which is the only one in Maryland and one of, I don't know if there are any more around the country that have the full voting rights, but we have that.
And I should note that your board of trustees actually has a lot of power. You are a quasi-government organization.
Correct.
So I actually don't hire and fire you. They do, right?
They do, yeah.
You
hopefully
work for
hire
them.
and hopefully not fire. But yes, I do work for them, and I am an at-will employee for the Board of Trustees. So collectively, they are my boss. We had a social gathering on Sunday, and that was great. Also with the Foundation Board, which is an independent organization of about another 20 people who work to raise money to supplement what the tax dollars provide. And by the way, the tax dollars that are provided here come primarily from the county, but also from the state. It's very good support, but those dollars can't do everything. And so the money people give to the foundation really allows us to do things that we couldn't do. Just incredible, wonderful things, including, for example, they gave us $125,000. It was 7 or 8 years ago to start the Discoveries Library project, which started as a pilot project. And then when you came into office, we came to you with a request to make it a permanent project, and we moved kind of down the hallway.
It was a pilot because they were building the Michael Bush Library, right?
Well, yeah, we were able to do that, exactly.
You moved everything over there.
Well, it wasn't just moving things over there. What we did was we had all the staff who worked at the original Annapolis Library on West Street. They needed a place to go and needed something to do, and we had been doing some work with, it was then Westfield Annapolis Mall. We had done virtual reality programs and a variety of things, and at a certain point, our marketing manager, Christine Feldman, said to their marketing person, boy, wouldn't it be great if we had a library here? And so we started a pilot because we had staff that we needed to place throughout the library system. But we didn't just take the Annapolis staff and put them there. What we did is hired a manager for that library, and with the sort of faith and hope that we might be able to make it permanent, we then had a full interview process. It was all internal, and we got people to come in, and we made that especially focused on kindergarten readiness programming. They have proven through the course of the last 6 or 8 years that they've had the highest program attendance of any of our libraries, and it is our 16th branch. But yeah, that became a permanent library right before the pandemic. We opened in February of 2020 in a space that was 13,000 square feet, and just now we've expanded it to 16,000 square feet with a new expansion that has been tremendous, and we're really looking forward to using that space as we go forward.
I think a lot of the stores in the mall are jealous. All these people going to the library and not into their stores, but in fact it brings people to the mall, which benefits the mall and all of their tenants.
Yeah.
And no question about that.
It's kind of symbiotic because we're bringing people to the mall, and we're bringing people from all over because we check the zip codes on where people are coming from, and they're certainly from all over Anne Arundel County, but they come from Eastern Shore, they come from other counties in Maryland, Baltimore City, they come from all over, and the programming is tremendous. And that's not to make light of the programming at all of our other libraries, because we have a very high programming attendance. I think it's at least 250,000 or so people get to the programs around the county.
Yeah, I mean, moms with kids in strollers, there's no better place because you can walk around the mall and just kill time, and the baby goes to sleep or whatever.
Right.
They have a play area there. I mean, I remember when with little kids before there was the Discoveries at the mall, spending a fair amount of time at the mall.
At the mall, yeah.
And now there's actually a library with programming.
Yeah. And we have adult programming, we have teen programming. We are, a lot of times I'm getting requests for permission to have a lock-in so that the teens can have supervised events on Friday evenings or Saturday evenings. So we'll close the library at 5 p.m., but then they'll be there till 11 and have some great programming for teens that way. Among other things, and adults, we've got film programs, we've got book clubs, I mean, all kinds of things. There's a program that's gone for many years at Severna Park Library, which is called the Guys Book Club, and so it's kind of an interesting one.
Yeah. So let's get back to the people inside the libraries who do the work. I mean, what are the opportunities if somebody wants to work at a library?
So we have 470 staff at this point in time. Of those, 257 are full-time. So there's people can start work in a library at various stages of their lives. So we have people, high school students as well as adults, who come in and start shelving books. I have a neighbor where I live down in the Riverwood area of Davisonville, and she started as a page, and she worked a couple of years and then was able to get a position in circulation, that is checking the books in and out, and it's a lot more complicated than that. There's a lot of training we do. But beyond that, people who have bachelor's degrees, they can work on the information side. So we kind of have the circulation side and the information side. And I'm just focusing here on our branch libraries and our public service. But a lot of times we hire people from schools or from other library systems. So we are always hiring. So we have people get promotions from within the library system. Sometimes people will work on their bachelor's degrees while they're working for us, and then they'll seek promotional opportunities. There's, of course, the whole management side of things, managing the branches or assistant management of aspects. And then in the back of house at our Truman Parkway headquarters, we have a full range of other kinds of non-library opportunities. So we have an HR department, IT, finance, and a variety of others. There's
a whole bunch of books downstairs.
Oh yeah. We have
they all come through there, right? When they
Every one of the physical books comes through there, and our IT department manages getting the electronic books in as well. But yeah, we are constantly having a flow. And that is seasonal too, because of the way the publishing industry works. But it's pretty cool to see the downstairs area at our headquarters where all those tens of thousands of books come in each year. They get processed. So we have a cadre of part-time staff and full-time staff doing that work. We have people who are making the selections on exactly what we should have in the libraries, and also then getting them, placing the orders. It's a lot of work, placing the orders, getting them in, tracking the orders. We call them finishers, actually. They do the finishing work of putting on the plastic book covers, the labels, getting them cataloged. Getting them cataloged isn't that simple either, but a lot of work. We also provide a lot of training for our staff. So staff who get on board with us at whatever level, they have a lot of opportunities to learn, to develop their careers, their knowledge, their background. So our staff are constantly being trained, and there's always new stuff for people to be learning.
You guys have been the target of, I don't know if you call it controversy or sort of a target in some cases. I remember there was a lot of controversy when I was running for office about the story time that you were doing, former county leaders. And then more recently there's been the whole book banning movement, I guess you could call it, and then the counter movement. Tell us how you see your role in some of these social issues that when they pop up and everybody's pointing fingers and screaming and yelling at each other.
Yeah, well, from my point of view, it's really very simple. We care about people, and we care about all people, whether they are members of our staff or members of our community. And so we are there to, in terms of our customer focus, we're there to meet the needs of our entire community. And that means, especially in the context that we have highly creative staff members developing all kinds of programming, from escape rooms to just all kinds of stuff I don't even know about. So
to drag queen story time.
So the drag queen story time, that was the big controversy, and it still draws a protest when we do it. We do them every now and then. We did the first one in 2018. And
these are by the request of a group that does these, right?
What happened that year was that, and I had never heard of this until that year, but there was a presentation by a group at a library conference called the Public Library Association about drag queen story times. And actually, 6 months before that, one of our staff members at the Crofton Library asked the branch manager, said, "Hey, I'd like to do one of these drag queen story times," and we were just learning about it. Well, after that conference that happened, about 6 or 8 staff from different libraries said, "Hey, we really saw this really cool and interesting thing that would be very interesting and meet a lot of needs for a lot of people." And so that's how it came about. It came about from our staff saying, "Let's do this." And we always try different things. So I think it was May of 2018 we started publicizing a program that was going to happen in July. It ended up happening at the Glen Burnie Library that year, and it turned out great. We had like 100 people, so it's really a program where parents or caregivers and their kids come in. There is a drag queen who just tells stories, and a lot of times the stories are about being accepting, being understanding, learning about people who are different from you. It's that type of stories that are told. That was where we first had that type of a controversy, and it did kind of polarize the community. We had some people in the community who just thought this was terrible, that we were even offering this, and others who were really happy that we were offering it. So it did kind of polarize our community a little bit. Bringing it forward to the last 2 to 4 years, we've seen terrible efforts to ban books, to keep them out of libraries, to keep them out of school libraries, public libraries. It goes along with the idea of eliminating diversity, equity, and inclusion ideas. It goes along with eliminating what's known as CRT, or critical race theory. These became highly political issues. They charged the presidential campaign of the last one, and even over in Virginia, there was
which is sort of contrary to the whole idea of libraries, right? I mean, you're supposed to have lots and lots of different ideas that people can read about in your library.
Right,
so,
right.
Okay.
And if people don't like it, don't check it out. Yeah, if you don't want to go, if you don't like this program, don't go to the program. But our whole effort is to try to make the entire world of knowledge and learning and imagination open and available to everybody. So when you have attacks on that, it's kind of attacking the heart and soul of what we have always been about. And we're here. We really are here for everybody, and we try to have things across the board, across the political spectrum. And just if we don't have it, ask us. We'll try to get it.
Yeah, your staff felt very strongly about this because they were trained to understand what the public needs were, to understand what's out there, and to make wise decisions about what to have on the shelves. And to have that politicized was a real affront. So
it was an affront.
The way I saw it. Yeah.
Well, that led us last September to create a book sanctuary. Our Board of Trustees voted that would be really important for us to take a strong stand and assure people that we will always be here. We will have materials. We will not be taking materials out because of any sort of political reason or anything like that. We'll be putting materials in the libraries because of the positive selection criteria that we use to create our library. So we are a book sanctuary.
Okay, good. So folks can read about the history of the people that they're from, the countries that they're from, the history of any group within this country or the world.
Yes.
And it's not going to be banned in Anne Arundel County. Amen. I signed on.
Amen.
I was supportive.
Double amen.
So we got some new branches and new ideas and new things. I mean, the new branches have been just so great.
It's incredible. Yeah.
Michael Bush opened in Annapolis.
Yes.
Just really expanded the idea of what a library is. Yeah. Tell us about some of the others.
Okay. So that was fantastic to get that. We actually got the original funding from Laura Newman, and then under the Steve Shue administration, that money was split. So that allowed us to open the Revere Beach and Annapolis libraries. Now, under your administration, we've gotten funding for the Glen Burnie Library. We're well underway to designing that. That will be the size of the Bush Annapolis Library, but it also will have a cultural resources lab and local history center, which will basically make it the size of the Odenton Library, which is about 40,000 square feet. So,
and the current Glen Burnie Library was not in great shape, right?
It's kind of like the old Annapolis Library. They were both built in the 1960s, not built for what modern libraries provide. The Glen Burnie Library is doing great things, but they are so anxious to get that new library open, and it'll open, I think, in 2028. That'll be tremendous. We've got that. We have a new library in Millersville, which is in the works with the Y of Central Maryland. That's something that you put into the budget this year. It's a very unique way of getting a library built, but it'll be part of a Y.
Yeah, the YMCA came to us and said they wanted support for their effort to build in Millersville, and they had some major donors. And it seemed like a good thing to have a YMCA and all the things that they offer there and the area that they would serve. But we had been looking for a location, and they had additional land. And, the idea of doing our building, and we pay for our building, but it's connected, and there's some real benefits to it financially for us. It's turning out to be less than it would cost elsewhere. And we get to call it the Yberry.
Well, no, we don't.
You don't like that, I know.
We're not calling it the Yberry.
Chris Trumber, our budget officer, came up with that. He was so proud of it. He said, but Skip doesn't like calling it the Yberry.
No, we'll call it we'll have a name for it. It'll be called the Great Y and Library somehow. But the other thing is we have funding in there to look for a library in Mountain Road. So we have been looking at that for the last couple of years. So
that's been
hoping to get
storefront, right?
It was in a storefront.
Yeah.
We had a terrible situation, and we moved to a different one. That has been very successful, but we want to get a permanent new library there.
So growing, improving. You mentioned the kindergarten readiness. I will just say how thrilled I am that you've grown that work and getting out there, because we all know that the success of kids depends in large part how they do in the very beginning.
Yeah.
And what y'all are doing to get people ready for kindergarten, because
Yeah.
the statistics show that the vast majority of kids going into kindergarten are not what the state considers kindergarten ready.
Right,
So-
absolutely. And you have helped us get about an additional dozen staff members, 3 new vehicles. I mentioned the outreach, and that is all happening. And we very much work closely with the schools and private and public schools. And yeah, we're trying to help them be ready on that first day of school.
So for everybody out there that uses libraries, which is practically everybody, how many library cards do we have out there on the streets?
It's in the range of 250,000 library cards. So we serve 600,000 people, and we've got 200,000 to 300,000 people with cards. Well, actually, that's the number that have used their card in the last year. We've probably got almost everybody in the county. If you are listening to this and you don't have a library card, today is your day. You need to just go get it.
You just go into a library and say, I want a card, and they just produce it for you, right?
Yeah. If you live anywhere in Maryland, you can get an Anne Arundel library card.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for everything that you do. Please thank all of your team for everything that they do.
We have a great staff, and I will share that with them. Thank you. You're listening to the Pittman and Friends podcast. If you like what you hear, please hit the subscribe button, share with a friend, and join us for the next episode.